So I was talking to Donnie the other day, and he said that the reason he continues to use his car lot analogy in the context of genetic entropy is that his critics have never addressed or refuted it, so he just continues to use it because it's a good argument. And I was like, really? I'm pretty sure they have, but you know what? Maybe I'm wrong. In which case, here you go, bud.
Make it more understandable for the audience. Let's say you had a car lot and you had 350 cars. Over time, they're all accumulating damage. They're all accumulating rust molecules.
Can we just not? Can we just like move to the next part, please? It's just
well, I wanted to give my counterexample.
But some, for whatever reason, they're going to accumulate more damage and more rust like a GM's probably going to turn into trash before maybe a Honda or a Toyota. Okay, so the point is, sure, those are going to be removed from the equation first, but that doesn't mean your Hondas, your Toyotas, your Nissans aren't also going to be subject to that same damage through rust, and eventually they're going to be wiped out as well, to the point where that entire car lot is done. And that's the same thing with the human population. Is yes, degeneration can be slowed. Some are more mutant than others, but all you ever get is a slowing of the degeneration process, because every generation is still going to be more mutant than the previous generation.
He has his script and he's sticking to it.
Okay.
God bless him.
Let's deal with this thing so that we don't keep hearing him say that nobody ever addresses it. I mean, he's going to keep saying that anyways, but at least it will be completely 100% untrue, right? So what's the problem here? Well, the analogy is not realistic, right? So in technical terms, and you guys can correct me if I misstate this, there isn't any recombination, there isn't any differential reproduction going on in this example.
Or as Gutsick Gibbon says,
again, vehicles don't reproduce, so this isn't an analogy that actually works, because it's that reproduction that necessitates relatedness, not just the suites of physical characteristics.
But like using that technical jargon isn't always as effective as just like altering the analogy and adding those concepts in. So,
and you guys, this is the nuts and bolts debate tactic that I want you to take home from this video, is that you can subvert an analogy and steal its effectiveness by changing it to make sure that it better reflects reality, and that can often be more effective than just saying that the analogy is bad or critiquing it based on, its technical deficiencies.
Let me show you what I mean. Let's say every week they take all the cars apart and then they randomly reassemble them, and just pretend that all the parts are interchangeable, right? Then you take your rustiest car, you get rid of it, and you replace it with another car that has exactly the same amount of rust overall as your least rusty car. So then how long until the whole lot rusts out? The answer, I would suggest, is never. Because you're always mixing things around, and your new cars are always going to be some combination of your best parts. So relatively good parts are always being introduced to the lot, and relatively bad parts are being removed. Moreover, those rustier parts are going to be more likely to be in the overall rustiest car, because the rustier the part, the greater the chance it's going to increase the overall rustiness of the car and make it so that one gets eliminated. So if we just add those two things in, we add recombination and we add differential reproduction, yeah, your car analogy, they never all rust out. Now, is this example perfectly reflexible of reality? No, of course it isn't. But it's better than it was before, and now we can kick it back to Donnie, and if he wants to suggest some other tweak, then he can, until we get something that truly is realistic. Until we get something that truly is realistic. I mean, that is unless your opponent has a tendency to ignore the fact that somebody has addressed or refuted one of their arguments, and then just keeps making the same argument anyways, as if it's never been addressed. But we don't know anybody who does that, do we, Dan?
No, I can't think of anybody. Why would you even suggest such a thing? I couldn't think of anybody that does that exact thing.
I should point out at this point that while I've generally had relatively good experiences with interacting with Donnie, the same is not exactly true of Dan, and also not true of some of the other content creators in this space. And so, here is kind of an example of what, has been going on in the past with respect to Donnie's responses to critiques.
The primary means by which the Standing for Truth channel maintains a false pretense of good faith dialogue is by utilizing a strategy that I'm calling the Donnie deals fallacy. This is an argument style that works something like this. I'll present an issue, the heat problem, for example, and Donnie will respond with the heat problem isn't an issue for younger creationism because of A. I will look at that and create a 2-hour deep dive video where I say, nope, it's still a problem because of B. A does not work because of B. And then Donnie will respond in turn with another very long midnight stream that says, but Gutsy Gibbon, have you considered A? So he's just reasserting the first point and not addressing the critique of that initial.
Over and over again, over a period of years. Coming up blank. Sorry.
So I think it's important and fair to acknowledge that has happened in the past, but I'm hopeful that it won't happen again.
Well, I'm on board with introducing recombination and selection into the equation. If we want to stick with the car analogy, I'm down. Zach, you down?
I mean, I find analogies just terrible.
Dad?
Go away.
To me, they muddy everything, and you end up fighting about the specifics of the analogy, and then it's like,
You guys all think you're so much better than me.
Oh, Meg, that is the least fancy thing I have ever heard.
Right.
I always get lost in the analogies. I would always rather talk biology.
Hey. Yeah? What the hell is this?
For me, my big point is Donnie. There was no perfect human. There was no original car lot, right? Genetic variation has always existed, and populations that have genetic variation are more healthy than those that don't have genetic variation. So in his model, you would have the car lot that had a bunch of rusty cars in it is actually better than the lot with no rusty cars, right? And that's the biology we are comparing here, but it doesn't make sense in a freaking car lot.
I just want to talk to him.
Why do you have a shotgun?
I just want to talk to him.
Dad, this is ridiculous.
I just want to talk to him. I just want to talk to him. I just want to talk to him.
It's that's not how the biology works. So I get the intuition to want to use analogies, and if you think you can make a good analogy work, then go for it.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
It's just not the way I'm gonna approach.
So there you go. That's Subverting Analogies, in my opinion, and you can see obviously that not everybody agrees with me. Dr. Zach does not agree with me, but I do think it is effective to take your opponent's analogy when it's something that they're very tied to, when it's something that's good, and to actually engage with that analogy and show why it is that analogy is not reflective of reality, rather than just saying that it isn't. And so that's what I've done here, and I look forward to seeing a response from Donnie, and or I hope that this argument takes a hiatus until such time as that occurs. And I look forward to my continued cordial relationship with Donnie, notwithstanding that he's maybe had some conflict with other people in the space. Talk to you later, guys.